Hello and welcome to TF2 Map review number 2. I'm Herbius. Sorry this is a little bit later than it was going to be because I had to re-record the first time that I did all the narration because I sounded tired as hell and I wasn't very keen on it. This is for the TF2Maps.net US game day on Sunday the 16th of December. We have 5 maps, one of which we already played, which was CP Pinnacle A1. We played that last week, so I won't be revisiting it this time because I'm kind of lazy, and you can also go and watch the other video if you really want to. So we can start off with CP Morass Castle Test 5 by Sergis, one of them, sorry if I got your name wrong. This is a 3-stage CP map where blue is invading a castle which is held by red. I haven't played that many castle environment maps before myself. Obviously there's been De Groot Keep, which pretty much everyone knows. I've also played Castle Siege, which was a versus Saxon Hale map, but never a 3-stage CP castle. So that was quite interesting for me personally, and I thought, obviously because it's CP, it's quite large, and it gives a good sense of progression and also kind of a little bit of exploration, which isn't something I really see very much in TF2 maps in general. It's just that there were quite a lot of rooms and it felt less like you were just walking down a path and more like you were actually exploring in areas to give you tactical advantages or to find your way around the map or something like that, so I quite liked that. It uses the whole theme of the castle quite well actually. I mean, it's got a moat, it's got some sort of houses with straw roofs, and the end section is kind of a big, almost like a throne type of room. And some of the theming is quite interesting. There's a statue, and it's got Stonehenge at one point as well, which I quite like. And the architecture as well in places is impressive. Like on the second stage there's a tower with a big sort of staircase going around, and I mean there are arches and what have you. So it seems like the author knows what they're doing in a lot of instances. On the other hand, it's sometimes difficult to find your way around. I guess that kind of goes hand in hand with the exploration. But there are a couple of times where I was not 100% sure on the way to go, even though there are signs there already. When we tested it, people were saying the final point is very slightly too easy to defend. And when we were testing it, blue didn't manage to capture it completely. They had a number of good cracks at it, but it seemed to be quite hard to capture the final point. Maybe reduce the capture time slightly might help. Also, I'm personally not quite sure what stage 1 point B is supposed to be. I mean, it's in a little kind of cave below the Stonehenge bit, and there's a kind of a big circular stone and wood room there with the point sunk in the middle. I did like the point design actually, sunken down the middle there with the bars on either side. It reminded me a bit of the old Harry Potter games. But it seemed a little bit weird with that being just under a hill. I'm not entirely sure what it's supposed to be in relation to its environment, but I did like the design and it seemed to work alright. So overall, I did like it. It's a 3-stage, it was fun to play. Obviously there are a couple of things to refine. Also some of the geometry could do with working on. I know I'm not sure whether it's an alpha or a beta at the moment now, it just says test 5 on the map. But there are some displacement cliffs especially, which at this point in time are quite blocky and not really fleshed out. So obviously that's coming further along in the sort of design stages. Next we have CP Edifice A3 by PDT. This was one of the maps we played last time, so I'll just go over it quickly. There's been a brief update which does basically 2 things. Firstly, changes the architecture around points A and B, and secondly adds a balcony around point C, which is utilisable mainly, as we played, by red engineers. It does make it quite overpowered in that instance because there's only one real way to get up there, which is jumping across via a kind of a pillar. And I know that since we played it, the author's done a number of updates, one of which addresses that and gives more routes for blue to get up there and actually take the sentries down. Once you have a level 3 sentry up there, you're basically able to control both routes into the arena, which doesn't work out that great. I do think it's improved, and obviously there are changes coming through, one of which is to make it look less like Gravel Pit, to change the kind of thing of it, which is going to be well received, I think. But that was all that happened on that test, really. We'll next go on to King of the Hill Division A1 by Roffelman. This is a first alpha, so it's just general blocking out of the buildings and things like that at the moment. I thought the structures as they are now, even though it is the first alpha, were quite nice and the layout was generally good. At one side of the central area there was a slanted roof with 2 entrances to it from each team. I'm not sure, I think those were the only 2 entrances up there, which was a bit of a shame, but I did like that roof. It reminded me a little bit of Arena Ravine, where you can get up onto the sloping roofs in the middle. I just quite like that architecture. On the other hand, it's kind of open in places, especially near the spawns on each side. And I personally found the doors in the centre around the capture point were a little bit annoying, because in order to see anyone through them, you obviously have to go close enough to touch the trigger to open the door. But then when you're there, you end up quite close to the main route where the enemies are going to be coming in and attacking the point. So you can't really, by the time you're able to see the enemies, they're also able to see you very much up close. I don't know how you'd rectify that, in that if you took away the doors, you'd have a massive sightline right the way through the building, which might not be a good thing. But that might probably be something to think about. The underground area, I know some other people say, contains quite a lot of health, and it's also, I found it was quite large, especially height-wise. It's got 2 ammo and 2 small health on each side at the bottom, and then a medium health pack at one end. Personally, I found that alright. I'd possibly get rid of medium health pack, because especially if you've got heavy down there, he's just going to tank up loads of health by just running over all the health kits, and it may make that a little bit overpowered. But then again, it can be held by either team, so I'm not sure on that one. Could turn it into something of a tactical advantage, which might work quite well if you can keep control of it. So overall, it's looking good for the moment as a first alpha. Some parts, like the under the main building, are quite tall in terms of the walls and the space that's there, so maybe scale that down a little bit. But I'd be interested to see how that map turns out as the alphas progress. Finally, we have King of the Hill Railbridge A1 by Ice. This is apparently a retexture of the original Railbridge, which I haven't played. It's got kind of a Moroccan texture going on. Reminds me a little bit, in terms of the arches, of those from Counter-Strike's Dust maps. And a lot of people were saying the theme is quite pretty, especially the way they've textured the coloured walls. The shades of blue, specifically because I was on blue when I was testing it, is quite nice, and the detailed props are good as well. I know there was a texture of a kind of a trellis with vines and stuff going up it, which I personally quite liked. It looked nice and pretty. As I said, I never played the original Railbridge, but the central point seems to be located well for both teams, although I don't know whether this was a problem in the previous map. The sight lines are very long, and that means it's very sniper friendly. I was constantly getting headshot in this game, even as a sniper, so not very good. And some of the texturing in certain areas is a bit odd, especially with the team coloured stripes on the walls. It just tiled straight up the wall and looked a bit strange. People were saying there were not that many health and ammo pickups, which I would probably agree with, and the trains look kind of modern for the sort of historical, almost, the sort of theme that it's got going on. Some of the train noises are quite high-pitched as well compared to the normal pitch that they're at, which I thought was a bit strange. They're also very long when they're trying to snipe and they come along and run you over. So that was that for this edition. Obviously feel free to leave comments if you have any. If you played the maps or made any of them, I'd be very happy to hear your feedback. Again, I will try and do one of these for next time. I don't know how busy I'm going to be, obviously with it being almost Christmas, but if I get around to it, I'll try and attend the next game day as well. If not, have a very happy Christmas, and I will see you next time.